Hi, I'm Randy Rowland from the Pepper Spray Collective. I'm one of the producers of Indymedia Presents. The Seattle International Film Festival just ended its 25-day barrage of movies, many of which will never see a big screen in America beyond the festival circuit. One of my favorites this year was just such a movie. It's a Mexican film called in English The Violin. This feature film is in Spanish with English subtitles. Filmed in sweaty black and white, the film has more heart than budget. The Violin is set during a peasant uprising in Mexico during the 1970s. An old, one-handed violin player takes care of his grandson while his son, the boy's father, wages armed struggle as part of the guerrillas. When the Mexican army moves into the village, forcing all the peasants to abandon their homes, the old man passes back and forth through the checkpoint, smuggling ammunition to the guerrillas in his violin case.
Sígale. ¿Y cómo se llama usted?
Plutarco Hidalgo, para servir a usted. ¿Me permite que me retire? Yo soy gente de paz.
Ándale, pues. Ándale, vete. Ese se queda aquí. Ándale, váyase.
I liked the movie a lot. It relies on a simple story, simply presented, and it sure doesn't make you like those who would torture or execute their prisoners. It reminded me of the failed U.S. effort in Vietnam. If you ever get a chance to see The Violin, don't skip it. I couldn't find a trailer for The Violin with English subtitles, so here's the trailer they used when the movie played in France.
Yo nomás soy músico.
A ver, toque algo.
¿Y cuándo vamos a regresar?
Cuando vengan tiempos buenos.
¿Y cuándo van a venir?
Pronto. Pronto.
One of my other favorite movies from this year's Seattle International Film Festival was made in Spain. I arrived at the packed theater expecting the movie to be in Spanish with English subtitles, but was surprised to see that the movie was made in English and was clearly intended for the American audience. The film is called Goya's Ghosts. In sharp contrast to the movie I was just talking about, The Violin, Goya's Ghosts is a big-budget movie, a period piece with lavish costumes, the beautiful woman, Goya the Spanish painter, along with screenfuls of his paintings. It's everything you might want in this type of movie. But this delicious movie was not merely a pretty piece of puffery. It's set at the end of the Spanish Inquisition, and its message, from Spain to America, is unavoidable. Confessions extracted by torture do not count, and you really shouldn't throw people in prison without the benefit of a fair trial. The makers of this film were sending an unmistakable message from across the Atlantic. Hey America, yoo-hoo, wake up! We've been down that road and it really isn't a good one. Hello, America, Spain calling. I walked out of the theater ashamed of my country because the movie's right, and the case against the Inquisition so obvious, whether it's 300 years ago or today. Goya's Ghost will get a commercial release this summer. I recommend it as a wonderful period piece and a profound message. Goya's Ghost, go see it.
They consider him the greatest painter in Spain. Most marvelous work indeed, Goya.
An artist, renowned for his genius.
You have the reputation of mocking the men of cloth in your work.
Do I?
Are you aware of how many powerful enemies you have?
Fortunately, I also have a few very powerful friends.
A woman, adored for her beauty.
Why doesn't that painting have a face?
Because he's a ghost.
No, he is not.
How do you know?
But behind the art,
do you not see what demonic filth this Goya is selling?
Do you painters not become very intimate with your models?
beyond the canvas,
My daughter Ines has been summoned by the Holy Office.
Ines, that's preposterous.
is a world where the powerful are declared righteous
We have to return to the God-fearing ways of the past.
and the innocent are declared guilty.
What do you want me to confess?
The truth.
My daughter was tortured. Tell me what the truth is!
There are revolutions everywhere.
In the name of Emperor Napoleon, we hereby proclaim the Spanish Inquisition abolished. All of his prisoners will be freed.
Who was that girl there?
Her name is Alicia.
She has taken leave of her senses in jail.
Where is Ines?
She's in very good hands.
I say where is she?
Javier Bardem, Natalie Portman, and Stellan Skarsgård.
Why is she so important to you? You are completely obsessed with her.
That face is engraved on my mind. I'm not going to abandon her again.
The final flick from the film festival that I want to mention is a light-hearted, heartwarming comedy from China called Getting Home. By the same director who gave us Shower and Spicy Love Soup, Getting Home is a road movie across China. The main character is a poor worker whose drinking buddy has died. He's determined to take the body back to the dead man's family but doesn't have the money to do it properly, so he pretends the dead guy is just passed out drunk and buys 2 bus tickets for the long road home. The movie is laugh-out-loud funny, and the scenes of the Chinese countryside are as lovely as a travelogue. It'd be worth going to see the movie just for those 2 reasons, but it was an unexpected throwaway scene that prompts me to comment on it here. After all kinds of misadventures, the main character is stranded in a big city. He's stashed his buddy in a cement culvert on a construction site, and he's trying to raise enough money to go on. He finds himself in an illegal blood bank, just as it's raided by the police. Swept up with all the other donors, he's taken to the detention center. But when he gets there, instead of a cell, he gets a hot meal, and he's told, "We used to call it a detention center, but not anymore. You're free to come and go as you want." That evening, he participates in a talent show for his fellow inmates. The movie goes on, but my mind was boggled. It was a shocking scene because it was so alien to the American experience. They weren't criminalizing poverty. Instead of rounding up desperately poor people and sending them to hell, they were helping them out, taking care of them. Here we arrest the homeless for sleeping on a park bench. Could it be possible that they don't criminalize poverty over there? I don't know. But the thought was a shock to my system, coming unexpectedly in a really good, really funny, really uplifting comedy. Living in America, it's easy to believe that our lives with all our problems is still as good as it gets. Sometimes the wake-up slap comes from a movie like Getting Home. I have no idea how much that scene reflects any Chinese reality, but it forced me to think that a better world is very much possible. I recommend Getting Home, and I hope you go see it. You'll love it.
送到地方啊！
你是你一个人，你把他背那么远，
死了，我背也能把你背回去。这叫落叶归根，入土为安。
别在这样，上车！
快把他给我整出去！
到他娘的老子那儿！
我多快乐！你看着，别快！哎，兄弟，哎，你他妈缺德跟猫一样啊你！
The final flick I'm going to talk about was not screened at the Seattle International Film Festival, but rather is one I saw at an advanced screening. The movie is Sicko, and it is, in my opinion, the best film Michael Moore has made so far. It, too, is a wake-up slap, in this case regarding the healthcare system here in the United States, which, like most everything else, is designed to make the rich richer rather than do much of anything to take care of us. Michael Moore's movie is a must-see. It's a political bombshell, and it may well change the political landscape in America. The U.S. pays more per capita for health care than any other country on earth, but we are the only industrial country without universal health coverage. As a result, we have worse statistics than some third world countries. Go see the movie. I laughed my ass off, and I cried through more of it than I like to admit. Michael Moore is a giant, and I'm not referring to his belt size.
We got an issue in America. Too many good docs are getting out of business. Too many OBGYNs aren't able to practice their love with women all across this country.
When Michael Moore decided to make a movie on the healthcare industry, top-level executives were on the defensive. What were they hiding?
That's not on, right?
No.
Okay.
The intent is to maximize profits.
If you denied more people health care, you got a bonus?
When you don't spend money on somebody, it's a savings to the company.
I want America to have the finest health care in the world.
4 healthcare lobbyists for every member of Congress. Here's what it costs to buy these men, and this woman, this guy, and this guy, And the United States slipped to 37 in healthcare around the world, just slightly ahead of Slovenia.
I denied a man a necessary operation and thus caused his death. This secured my reputation and it ensured my continued advancement in the healthcare field.
In the world's richest country.
I worked 3 jobs.
You worked 3 jobs? Yes. Uniquely American, isn't it? I mean, that is fantastic.
Laughter isn't the best medicine.
I get a bill from my insurance company telling me that the ambulance ride wasn't pre-approved. I don't know when I was supposed to pre-approve it. After I gained consciousness in the car, before I got in the ambulance.
It's the only medicine.
There was actually one place on American soil that had free universal health care.
Which way to Guantanamo Bay?
Detainees representing a threat to our national security are given access to top-notch medical facilities.
Permission to enter. I have 3 9/11 rescue workers. They just want some medical attention, the same kind that the evildoers are getting. Hello?
Michael Moore's Sicko.
I'd like to spend the rest of the time on this show making a related point about the healthcare system in the U.S. You might not guess by looking at me, but I make my living as a registered nurse, working in the Regional Trauma Center here in Seattle. What I'm going to talk about now I learned years ago back when Hillary Clinton was going around giving speeches about reforming the healthcare system. That was early in the Bill Clinton administration, and it was at the same time that NAFTA was being negotiated between the U.S. and Canada. So while Hillary was giving speeches about healthcare reform, the U.S. was leaning on Canada pretty hard. It seems that in the U.S., a drug company that develops a new medicine gets patent protection on that drug for, I believe, it's 16 years, where no generic version of that drug is available. The idea is to pay back the pharmaceutical company for investing in the development of the drug. Of course, much of the research is funded by the government in the first place, but that point aside, there was a moment where the Clinton administration perceived a problem with the NAFTA treaty. Canada, you see, has a similar program set up for new drugs, but they only give the company 6 years of patent protection, which means that if the borders were opened up for free trade, there would be 10 years where cheap generic medicines would be available in Canada, but not in the U.S. Looking back on it now, it almost seems naive, since there have been so many subsequent efforts to keep Americans from buying cheap pharmaceuticals from Canada. But at the time, Hillary was speechifying, while other parts of the administration had the gloves off and were being damned aggressive trying to get Canada to lengthen their patent protections for pharmaceutical companies up to the American giveaway standard of 16 years. I figured if Hillary or the Democrats were serious about health care reform, they would have used that moment to reduce the giveaway by going for the standard. How big is the giveaway? It's off the charts big, and I'll tell you how I know. Back when all this was going on, the patent on the drug Zantac expired, and all of a sudden in the hospital we could get the generic version of the drug, whereas before we couldn't. Zantac, or ranitidine if you want to use the generic name, is a very good medication that prevents ulcers and reduces stomach acid. Nowadays you can get it over the counter, but for a long time it was a prescription only, and for years it was only available as Zantac. There was no generic version available, due to the patent protection business I've been talking about. But about the time of Hillary's healthcare campaign and the NAFTA treaty negotiations with Canada, Zantac's patent expired. Now remember, I work in a hospital. We have a book there that lists all the medications in the hospital formulary. Among other information is the cost per dose of each medication that's available for the doctor to prescribe. The idea is simple. If 2 different medicines will both work, and one's way cheaper than the other, the doctor might prescribe the cheaper medicine to save the patient some money. So the hospital lists the price per dose of every medicine. I happened to notice in the hospital formulary what the price difference was between the name brand Zantac and the generic version when it suddenly became available. Zantac cost about $3.30 per pill. The generic version was about 30 cents per pill. Now at 30 cents per pill, the pharmaceutical company isn't giving it away. They make a tidy profit. So the extra $3 per pill represents a super profit that comes from allowing pharmaceutical companies to have a monopoly on the medicine. I was startled at what the price difference was, So I did a little research. First, I found out how many patients were on Zantac at the time. That was easy to find out because the company that makes Zantac liked to brag about how well it was selling. Most patients were taking the medicine twice a day. If you do the math, $3 super profit per pill times 2 pills per day times the millions of people on the drug was an enormous amount of money in legally protected super profits, above and beyond the handsome profit to be made on generics. Multiply that by 365 days in a year times 16 years, and my calculator didn't have enough places for the amount of money involved. To put it in perspective, since I'm a nurse, I checked with the American Nurses Association to discover how many FTEs, or full-time equivalents, there are for registered nurses in the United States at the time. They also provided me with the figures for what the average wage of a registered nurse in America was. I did the math. Number of nurses times the average nurse's wage equals how much money goes into paying for nurses in the whole country. Do you know what I found out? That the super profits on Zantac alone was more than enough to pay all the wages for all the nurses at all the hospitals in America. That's how out of balance our system is, because it's not just Zantac. Multiply that super profit times all the proprietary medicines we have, where the generic version is not allowed by U.S. law. And Zantac was not a particularly greedy example. It's just the one I happened to notice because I was on duty when the patent expired and the generic version became available. The difference between proprietary and generic versions of many medicines is much more extreme. Michael Moore is right. The system is broken. It's designed to help rich companies profit off our misery. The system is the sickness. Go see his movie. Tell the ticket taker your nurse sent you. For Pepper Spray Productions and the Seattle Independent Media Center, this is Randy Rowland.
Is left of Iraq's weapons of mass destruction and related proscribed items and programs. So far, UNMOVIC has not found any such weapons, only a small number of empty chemical munitions which should have been declared and destroyed.
The chief weapons inspector saying his inspectors have not found anything. Is that a premise to go to war?
And if that's America's plan, which it probably is, you know, I think if they expect the people to sit down and take this lying down, I think they're wrong.
Our conservative estimate is that Iraq today has a stockpile of between 100 and 500 tons of chemical weapons agent. That is enough agent to fill 16,000 battlefield rockets.
Officials now say they may not find hundreds of tons of mustard and nerve agents.
They tried to imperialize us culturally, they failed. They tried to imperialize us economically, they failed. Socially, they failed. And now they are imperializing physically. They physically want to imperialize us.
But reports from the field give a fairly narrow view of what's really going on. So the administration has tried to present what it calls the big picture 3 times a day with carefully coordinated messages. First, from Doha.
There is still work to be done.
Then the Pentagon.
There will still be tough fighting.
And finally, the White House.
There still is fighting ahead of us.
So it's okay if you're traumatized and if you shat yourself. That's what they were going for. What went wrong?
You can call me a fool,
That's alright with me, I will live to see this good round world breaking free. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. They say they will incorporate the world over my dead body, over my dead body, over my dead body, over mine. They say they will incorporate the world over my dead body, over my dead body, over my dead body, over mine.
Democracies do not wage aggressive wars.